Bryce, obviously last season, as a unit, you guys were, you could say, a top 20 defense in the nation statistically. How much better do you feel like this group is heading into this week one this season?
Yeah, I mean, time will tell, how much better we are. I think based off what we've shown in practice, we have the capability to just be just as good, if not better. Got the talent, camaraderie, scrimmages, tackling look good, but, come game day, time will tell. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Back middle, Aaron.
I just asked Kenyon, but what do you feel like is really the biggest motivating factor heading into this week for maybe you, but also maybe kind of everyone else on the team? Is it the fact that there are so many spots up for grabs? Do you feel like a lot of positions have things that they want to prove? Is it just it being week one? Like from your perspective, what do you think it is?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. Probably depends on who you ask. I know there's a lot of guys on the team that have something to prove in their position. Come whoever starts, game one, week one is not going to be starting at the end of the season. It's always a determinant of how you play and, proving yourself right and proving others wrong. But I think more than that, just like as a team collectively, no matter who we're playing, we always have something to prove. I think when you have that mindset, good things will happen. You can never, get too full and think you've accomplished everything. And I think that's our mindset going into this year. Is as a team, collectively, we got something to prove.
On the left, Matt.
A lot of your peers, your coaches have said this team's grown a lot since day one of fall camp. I'm just curious of your perspective of what excites you about this defense going into the year.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. We've grown tremendously when it comes to just communication on the defensive side of the ball. Everyone knowing their assignment. I think just like the effort and ball excellence. Like our defense does a really good job of getting the ball out, which is definitely important. And playing hard. When you have a bunch of young guys and guys that haven't really proven themselves yet, there's obviously a lot of energy and a lot of effort, which I love. If you play with energy and effort on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, obviously you got to execute, but good things happen, and that's what we've been seeing in practice.
Front left, James.
Having faced their quarterback before, just what did you remember before even looking back at the film from Stanford in 23, and then what stands out about him as you prepare for this week?
Yeah, I remember him back in 23. Liked to run the ball a lot, which when you got a quarterback who runs the ball a lot, makes things challenging on the defense side of the ball, and you got to account for him in that regard. Obviously he can pass it a little bit as well, and he's dynamic. But I'm excited for a new challenge, and he's on a new team, and it's going to be a fun game.
Back middle, Aaron.
Yes, just sticking with the Montana State offense, they had the number one rushing offense in college football last year. Just taking a look at, more so their scheme. I know they got new coordinators, but just taking a look at the film that they had last year, just what makes their rushing offense so hard to stop?
Yeah, obviously they got a lot of motions. They got a lot of tight ends that come back and stuff that's going to play with your eyes. But honestly, more than that, I think they just executed their offense well. And the teams that were playing didn't prepare and didn't execute their defense well. So, I mean, if we, go into the game and execute our stuff against them, I think good things will happen for the Ducks. But, obviously they know what they're doing. When you lead in rushing yards, you're doing something right. So, just preparing for, what we've seen last year, but who knows what they come out this year. Hopefully, something we've seen on tape, but you really don't know till come game time. So,
Right here on the right, Chris.
Yes, this week felt just like the fourth week of fall camp, or is there a different vibe this week because you got a game coming up in 4 days?
I'd say not fourth week of fall camp, but not really a different vibe. I mean, we prepare and we work hard in fall camp, and we've been preparing and working hard this week. Obviously, our schedule's obviously changed a little bit in that regard, so it's not strictly fall camp schedule, but the way we prepare, and obviously it's more opponent based this week. Watch more film on the opponent versus self scout, but when it comes to everything and all, it's about the same.
Stand on the right.
What changes for you week to week when preparing for a quarterback that can use his legs so well like this week?
Yeah, I just, it's, you got to play, with 11 guys on the field, whereas when you have, a quarterback who doesn't run, you don't really have to account for him as much. Don't really need to have as many spies or, worry about, QB read power sweeps and whatnot. So, it's just watching film and making sure you have that guy accounted for at all times. So it's just an extra thing to have on your mind, especially at linebackers. You can't be flying out of the box when, he can still run. So, yeah, just making sure that you're always aware of his presence.
Back right, Brett.
Bryce, obviously, this team has probably had this game circled on their calendar for a while now. With a team that comes into this matchup with nothing to lose, maybe a chip on their shoulder, do you guys look at this game a little bit differently? Do you guys view this as, maybe a potential first true test for you guys considering the rushing offense? How do you guys kind of view this matchup heading into this weekend?
Yeah, I think it's another great opportunity for us. Regardless of the opponent, if we play our brand of football, I think good things will happen for the Ducks. But one of our big pillars going into this season is being able to stop the run. We did it at times last year, but in those big games, I feel like we struggled at times. And as a defense, if you stop the run, you're the best at doing that in the nation. Big chances you're going to go far. And I think them being, high in rushing yards last year, I think you said first, it's a great opportunity for our defense to show that we can do that and stick to one of our big pillars this year.
On the left, Matt.
So many guys around you are going to be making their first starts at Oregon or playing their first game at Oregon. As a leader and as one of the experienced guys on this team, how do you play into that in the days, hours leading up to kickoff, or do you distract them away from, hey, don't worry about that, things are going to be fine?
For sure. It's when we're in practice right now, you worry about the now, and I think all the new guys and young guys are obviously looking forward to that first game, but are kind of we're more worried about practice. But come Thursday, Friday, and then obviously Saturday, I can definitely fill into that role a little bit, making sure guys are settled in and know what's to come, because it's what you play for, man. You practice to play on Saturdays, and there's a lot of nerves and other stuff that come with it. So yeah, I can definitely play a part in that for them.
Front left, James.
Does Kingston offer something just a little bit different by way of versatility, Bryce, compared to other guys at that position? Just between his length, and there's not many 6'5" safeties in general, but between that he can play in the box and probably a little bit outside, just what makes him unique? Does he offer something a little bit different compared to other deep safeties?
Yeah, I mean, you said it. He is very versatile, with how tall he is. I feel like he's always in a good position to, make a play. He's got long arms, which, that helps with the DB position, quick feet. And he comes downhill and he's not afraid to hit something, which is awesome. We're definitely finding ways to move him around and play him where we think's best fit for the team. So I'm excited to see what he does this season.
Back middle, Aaron.
Back in the spring, you, along with a lot of other veterans on the defense, were very vocal about making sure that everyone around you that maybe didn't have the experience that you've had was playing up to the Oregon standard. Kind of when you look back at the spring to where you are now, are there any players or one player that sticks out in your mind that has really grown the most since then?
I don't know. I can't say one player that comes to mind that's grown the most, but I think as a unit, we've definitely all grown, myself included. There's some days where I have to catch myself and look in the mirror and be like, are you upholding the standard that, you want other guys to do? Like, are you setting the standard? But I think as a group, especially when Lanning says we've grown, like that standard has grown, our execution has grown. And I'm excited to see what that product looks like on Saturday.
On the left here, Matt.
Yesterday, Dan talked about preparing for an opponent where there's not a lot of film, new coordinators at the positions, new players, and he said ultimately you have to follow your rules for your scheme. And if you do that, you'll be fine. Defensively, what are your rules that you guys have to follow for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the play call. It depends on what the offense is running. I'm not going to go into tell you our play calls and what our rules are for those play calls. But I agree. If we execute, like I said, energy and effort carries you a long way on defense side of the ball, but you still have to execute the play call you're running based off what they're running. And if we do that, we'll win.
Let's do two more, James.
When you're one of the two returning starters in the green dot, we're talking about all these new pieces. Just what do you think the identity of this defense is going to be, Bryce? When it's longer in the secondary, when it's replacing 3 NFL interior D linemen and a fellow linebacker, what will the 2025 identity of this defense be?
Physical, playing with effort, and stopping the run. That's what we've been preaching all off season, and it's what we did last season. Obviously, we fell short of it at times, but we still won the Big Ten doing that. Obviously, it's a new team, new players, but that's what we've been preaching: being the most physical team on the defense side of the ball, and a defense that gets the ball as well. We want to force a lot of turnovers this year, so hopefully, that's the case.
Last question, back right, Brett.
Bryce, you've obviously played a lot of week ones in your career from high school to college, but knowing that this is going to be the last one in the green and the yellow, do you view this week one matchup a little bit differently, knowing that you're heading into your final season at all?
Yeah, it's certainly special. There's a lot of like last first time in pads, last fall camp, last first game. But to be honest with you, I thought last season was my last. So I feel like I'm just repeating it. So uh, it's cool to look around and smell the roses at times, but I'll be doing that probably more towards the end of the season. I'm pretty much just focused on the task at hand, and obviously I still enjoy it, but I'm trying to win.